All right, everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're going to get caught up on some of the Shonen Jump stuff that has dropped the last couple of days. I did mean to get around to read-throughs the last little while as well, but unfortunately, I was dealing with some back issues this last week or so. I just recently started getting over it, so I'm trying to ease myself back into it again. But hopefully I'll be back to read through sometime next weekend, so look forward to that. In the meantime, I got some Akane and Spy Family to get around to this weekend. So still a lot of good stuff coming your way, so if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. But without further ado, let us dive into it with another Spy Family short mission. So you have Spy Family Short Mission 16 by Tetsuya Endo, with translation by Casey Lowe and lettering by Harina Mappa. So it looks like we're getting a day, Life in the Day with McMahon. So you have a Good Morning Kiki as you see McMahon with like a little birding glove on as he's getting his little, I don't remember if it was like a hawk or what we were told it was, but you have Matthew McMahon, age 66, several months ago. And you see him walking inside like his little, his wife is like cooking something in the kitchen. You see like all these little family frame photos. Jeff, what are you lazing about for? You have work. What about the garbage? And he's like, I already put it out and put the laundry on the clothesline too. It's like, fine then, here's your lunch. He's like, thank you. And you see at work at City Hall, it's like, oh, hey boss, wife packed a lunch for you, huh? It's like, she did. It's like, yeah, my girl is a great cook too. And McMahon's like, being able to cook well is a wonderful thing. It's like, you're so nimble, I bet you're a fine cook yourself. Oh, I heard you're going on a Princess Lorelei cruise to schmooze some department store guys. Millie's so jealous, she keeps going on about the fancy meals you're going to eat, ha ha ha. As you see a munch as McMahon's kind of like silently eating his food. Ooh, what the fuck, bro? And you see on the next pages, he's got like this dead bird that he's just kind of like cutting up into parts. And he has, the meals that I make revive the scent of blood deep within my nostrils. They're nothing you'd ever want to eat. And you see later at the dinner with his wife, he's like, I hate to ask Maureen, but could you take care of Kiki for 3 days while I'm away on my business trip? He's like, do I have to? The things that bird eats are revolting. Rats and smaller birds and such. He's like, I've already prepared all her meals. I assume that's what he was doing. Is like he's cutting up like meals for his hawk. He's like, fine, but you better bring me back a lot of souvenirs. He's like, yes, of course. You see later that night as she's sleeping, she lets out a hap-choo, and he just kind of like lovingly just holds up the blanket on her. And he takes off his glasses, right, sits next to her on the nightstand and falls asleep. He goes, I wonder what sort of souvenir she'd appreciate. Candy, perhaps? She does have a sweet tooth. Picture postcards? I think she used to collect those. A wooden sword? No, I get yelled at for that. It's like, I need to come back with souvenirs. Alive. I need to come back with souvenirs. You have a little montage of like all the assassins and things they had to deal with on the protection mission they're doing on the ship. And you see back at Garden with the head honcho, he goes, thank you for your report. Would you care to join me for dinner? It's like, no, I'm going home. You have a Maureen, back. He's like, what on earth happened to your face? He's like, oh, I got swept up into a bit of a fracas. He's like, what is wrong with you? You're well past retirement age. Can't you just quit your job and relax already? It's like, I could, but I want to work for as long as they want me there. And she kind of just sighs and goes, I bet you haven't even had anything to eat yet. I'll whip up something for you. And he smiles and goes, thank you. It's like, your cooking truly is the very best. It's like, yes. Now where are my souvenirs? I guess quick thoughts on the chapter. I mean, I guess it was nice to get a little bit more insight into like McMahon and what his whole deal is. But I don't feel like this chapter really gave us a lot of insight or depth into his character beyond what we already know. Like, he seems to like, love, and appreciate his wife. But again, I don't know, man. Like, Endo seems to have like the idea of like these relations having like a bit of friction in them and having like this little kind of like tense like turf standoffs and exchanges, and having kind of like the Sundaras like, oh, don't think I care about you, Baka, kind of like back and forth with between the two partners. And I think that's the kind of thing missing from it. Is like at the end you see him kind of like happily smiling, where he's like thinking like, oh, I have to go back alive with souvenirs. Like, I need to go back home with souvenirs. But you don't really get a sense of like the emotional like connection that he has with his wife, or like why he's so fond of her, like why he wants to like go back to her alive. Like it just seems like it's going through the motions rather than like kind of presenting us with a deeper insight, like or nuanced like insight depiction of McMahon. So it's like it was a fine chapter, but I feel like I could have almost like done without it with like how little we were kind of given with it. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the next stuff. Yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned in the beginning. Like I said, I'll get around to the Akane Banashi chapters that have dropped today as well. Then hopefully, if Kaiju don't think's back until the week after next. So I'll get back to that whenever those drops. And then next week, hopefully, I'll get back to some read-throughs as well. I might drop a channel update video, so look out for that sometime next week. Until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.